I would rather walk than drive in one of those things.
Or dodgy public transport.
I can't understand why you buy one.
I see what you did there. Yeah, good one.
Champagne comedy. The depreciation is going to fly off a cliff, which is probably what you should do with the car.
I read a story about one of these that had lost 50% of its value in 12 weeks.
It actually feels like you're pushing a wet tissue around the kitchen sink.
I know I'm sounding like an old boomer now, but why do you need a car that fast?
Now, if you've watched any of our content before, you'd know that we focus primarily on used cars only. However, we've had so many people ask us about our opinions on new cars, hence this video.
Yeah, we recently did a video about the new cars we would buy. Only, fair to do a video about the cars we would not buy. So here it is.
And look, also, we're not saying these are the worst new cars. Some of these are actually very good cars. These are just the cars Jim and I wouldn't go near with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah, some of our choices are purely subjective because we just don't like it for petty reasons. Yep. There are other cars in here that are just terrible cars objectively and we wouldn't buy because of that.
And we don't think you should buy them either.
Yeah.
Shall we get into this?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's start with small cars. Let's talk the MG3. Now, this thing ranges from about $22,000 to about $31,000. And look, we understand it looks like fantastic value on the new car market because it offers so much kit for the money.
Yeah. And it is very cheap. It's a cheap car, which is good now, but we often talk about this. What about in 3 or 5 years' time? Yep. It's going to lose a lot of its, value because of it started cheap.
Yes.
But parts and reliability, that is a factor of a really cheap car.
And like MG, we're not talking obviously old MG, like current Chinese sourced MG, haven't been here for that long. So the longevity of this car, we're just not sure. Also, for what these cost, there are a whole host of slightly used other cars that you could buy instead that are going to be a far superior product.
Yeah, way better.
Yeah. Again, this isn't a bad car. In fact, this generation of MG3 is a massive improvement over the previous generation.
Couldn't be any worse.
No, that's not saying much, is it? Because the previous generation was pretty terrible. Yeah. I would rather walk than drive in one of those things.
Or dodgy public transport.
Yes.
Now, the next small car on our list is the Volkswagen Polo. You can buy a new one of these between 30 and 42 grand, depending on the spec level.
Yep. And you know what? Again, really good car. Like brand new with a full warranty. Bloody good thing. But if, again, we focus on used cars, and as we've seen with a lot of Volkswagen products, how will it age?
Yeah. I mean, it's a totally fine car to buy if you're going to keep it, for a short period of time and get rid of it, before the warranty runs out. And actually, that sort of carries through the whole video too.
Yeah.
We should mention, if you like a car just because you like the look of it, that's fine. If you're going to get rid of it before it's out of warranty and you don't care about depreciation, then you know what? All bets are off. Buy whatever you want.
Yeah, a bit of a secret within the car industry. All new cars, they're all pretty good. There aren't really any bad new cars anymore. And the ones that are less good generally have huge warranties on them. So, yeah.
Having said that, though, some of the dealership experiences are way better than others. So even though it's under warranty, that might still not be an easy ownership experience.
And this is actually going to come in with some of the future cars coming up. Some of them are okay cars, but it's what you have to deal with after you buy the car that could really put a dampener on things.
Yeah, like Mercedes. Oh, we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that, yeah. But look, back to the Volkswagen Polo, one of the other issues here, if you are going to keep it for the long term, which hopefully you will, is depreciation and cost of parts and maintenance.
Yeah. We're going to look at medium cars now.
Like Mazda 3 kind
Mazda
of size.
3 about that size. Peugeot 308. Now, these can be had for 45 to 65 grand, depending on spec level. Fun fact, they only sold 150 of these in Australia.
That's not good.
Yeah, and you really got to worry about, that ownership experience. How much parts, what are the parts availability like? Should you have any warranty, issues? And what about the dealership knowledge base in a car that there are only 150 of in the country? How's that going to work out?
Exactly. Then you've got depreciation. To give you an idea, the previous Gen 308 was easily one of the worst depreciating cars in any category in Australia. Yeah. This is just going to follow suit. Again, it has a tiny support network here in Australia. And also, there's so many other cars you could buy for this sort of money in this category. So I don't really understand why you'd buy one. Yeah, it looks amazing. It's probably fantastic to drive and it's loaded with kit. But so is so much of the competition. So why would you buy this when it doesn't really offer anything special over anything else in this category. It actually just comes with more risk.
This is probably a topic for another video too, but do you reckon this is one of those cars or brands that's going to be just pushed out of the way by the incoming influx of, Chinese brands?
Absolutely.
So how can they justify their existence when they're selling 150? Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Well, we've lost Citroën, and I hate...
Is that really a loss, though? Thankfully, there is no longer Citroën.
Yeah. I hate to say it, I do feel Peugeot's not too far behind.
Yeah, well...
Okay, the next one in this category is the Skoda Scala. So these are, $33,000 to $44,000. Really good car.
Yeah.
Probably a solid thing. I just don't know why it even exists, because the parent company, Volkswagen, they also bring us the Golf and the Audi A3 and the Cupra Leon. So why would you buy this one over all of those other cars?
This quirky little variant is going to have some, bespoke parts, and when there's, again, depreciation is going to be killer. And those parts are going to be hard to get, and it's going to be sitting in the corner waiting for bits. I don't know why you would buy another car with such low volumes.
Yeah.
Insane.
It's way too risky. And look, we understand the whole, if you're trying to buy something that's a little different and a little bit quirky, that's cool. But again, if you're holding onto this thing for the long term, we know of these cars from previous years where they're, as Jim just said, they're just sitting in workshops waiting for parts to turn up because the parts are not here in Australia.
Yeah. To give you an indication of how few of these they did sell, only 416 units were sold in Australia, and half of those were sold to fleet rental companies.
And look, I can tell you right now, do not ever buy an ex-fleet rental car, because if you see how I drive rental cars, you don't want to go buying that car
Respectfully and gently.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, massively. Yeah. I have lots of mechanical sympathy on a hire car. Okay, now this next category I find a little bit sad, because there are hardly any cars in this category, and this is the category of car that I think most of us should be driving. Yeah. We're talking large cars. We're talking larger cars.
Yeah.
Camry sort of size, a little bit bigger than a Mazda 6, kind of that realm. You might not know this. Jim, did you know there's a 2025 Honda Accord?
I had to look it up.
Yeah. It's one of the lowest selling cars in the country.
And you know why? Why it's one of the lowest? Because it's $65,000.
That's about 10 grand more than its competition. So we're looking at, the Hyundai Sonata, the Mazda 6, which is, we're talking top spec, a Tenza spec, and the Camry. It's about $10,000 more.
Yeah.
Why?
Oh, it's insane.
Why, Honda?
Yeah.
Look, this is overall a really good car. It's loaded with features. I'm sure it drives beautifully. I think it looks good. It does everything right. But I wouldn't buy one because it's not worth 10 grand more.
And also, now that Honda have changed their business model and the whole dealership experience, we're hearing some people having some absolute shockers with Honda. It's just not... It's not what people expect.
And again, we're back to that whole scenario again, where because they've sold hardly any of these, in the coming years, if you need parts, will Honda Australia carry those parts? Because why would you bother when they only sold a handful of them?
That's if even Honda is in Australia.
There's a good point. Okay, next up we're going to go from a category of car where there were really hardly any to choose from because there are hardly any on the market, to a category of car where there are way too many cars in this sector. We're talking the small SUV segment, sort of Mazda CX-3 kind of size.
Yep.
There were so many new small SUVs that we would not buy.
Yeah. Top of our list.
Yeah.
Nissan Juke.
Yeah.
Look, there's 28 to 38 grand. You pick your spec level.
Yep.
Personally, we've talked about this, some of our reasons are subjective and some of them are objective.
Yep.
I just don't like the way they look.
I'm with you on this. I think it's great that Nissan, from the first Juke, at least had a shot at doing something a little bit different. And I think the new one does look a lot better than the old one.
Yeah.
But it still does nothing for me.
Not my cup of tea. The DCT is not great.
No. So the calibrations in this thing, it's funny. Nissan have gone from having endless CVT complications and disaster stories into dual clutch transmissions, which... I don't know, in terms of reliability, maybe they're still a bit too new to talk about long-term reliability, but in terms of the calibration of actually using them, not good.
Yeah, did I mention they're ugly?
Yeah, you did, yeah. Also, speaking of the aesthetics, the interior design doesn't match the exterior design. They're two different designers, I think, that never spoke to each other. Maybe they were like in a relationship and then mid-breakup and weren't communicating. But yeah, the interior, it's not as funky as the outside. No. Also, really weird engine calibrations. We're talking 2025, and this is a car with a little turbo that somehow has lag.
Yeah.
And also, there's torque dips. So when you drive it, it doesn't feel consistent.
Yeah, it's kind of got a weird surge to it. Go and drive one.
To the point, like if you're driving around town at low speeds, it's just tedious.
Yeah.
It's way harder than it needs to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, average. Just an average car.
As is its cousin, the Renault Arcana. Am I saying that right? Arcana?
Arcana?
41 to 45 grand. Pretty much the same underpinnings as the Duke.
I can't understand why you buy one.
I see what you did there. Yeah, good one.
Champagne comedy.
Good one. Yeah.
This shares heaps of components with the Duke, but just the overall driving experience is pretty subpar.
For all the same reasons as the Duke.
Yeah. Also, remember, it's French. That means it is going to plummet in value on the used market. I'm talking, you're going to hemorrhage cash on this thing.
In terms of a race to the bottom, would you be better off buying the Duke over the Renault? Yeah, probably.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
But don't buy either.
My issue with the Arcana is, for me, Renault should be a brand that offers something quirky and different. They've just released the Duster, which is a Dacia Duster, but it's the Renault Duster here. Really cool thing. Really dig it. Cheap and just fun. But the Arcana is just such a car. It's like, here's another SUV in this class. It doesn't offer anything special. It doesn't look anything special. Renault should be funky and quirky and different, and this just isn't. It's weirdly, it's a Duke and a slightly more conservative outfit. Yeah, boring. Wouldn't buy. Okay, next up into another oversaturated segment of the market, medium SUVs. We're talking sort of CX-5-ish size.
CX-60 size.
It's funny, Mazda CX-60 is the top of our list. So you're looking at like $50,000 to $80,000 here. Okay, now it's had an update recently, which has improved things. Thank God, because previously it wasn't really that good. No. But even post-update, the ride is still really harsh for what it is. It was terrible on the pre-update cars. The whole car still feels a bit unfinished. Also, it's bloody expensive for what it is. And also for the plug-in hybrid models, the transition point between it swapping from petrol engine to electric is not smooth. It's quite harsh in how it does it.
Yeah, it is really noticeable. And for this day and age, with the way software is calibrated, you really shouldn't notice it.
No.
Even a layman who doesn't know anything about cars would notice it.
Yeah.
And I guess in this day and age, it's really, when there are so many other cars you could buy, that alone is a good enough reason to stay away, I reckon.
Wouldn't buy. Not yet. I'll probably do another update and fix all these issues.
Probably,
but at the
right
moment, wouldn't go near it.
No. Now, to be honest, Adam was telling me a lot about this car, and I'm nodding my head and going, yeah, sure, thinking all the time, I have no idea what this car is. It is the Deepal S07.
Yeah.
You know that one, right?
Yeah. Classic. All-time classic.
I will give it one thing. For all of its shortcomings, it actually does look pretty good.
Yeah. It is a cool-looking thing, which a lot of this sort of car coming in, a lot of them do.
Yeah, but word on the street, it drives terribly.
Yeah, so the ADAS, which is all the safety systems, all your beeps and bongs and alerts, some of the worst calibration of any car in the country. And that's saying something because we've got another car coming up that I have experienced and it was terrible.
Probably uses the same system.
It probably does. It's the same software plug-in. It feels like this car that the way it drives and feels behind the wheel there was the lowest priority on the list of things to do. It's the most bland driving experience.
Yeah.
If you have no interest in what a car is like to drive, this could be the car for you. Hardly any dealership support here. It's a tiny support.
That's going to be an issue in the long term.
Yep.
But again, if you buy it new and you like the way it looks, which probably a lot of people will because it does look pretty good.
But the big one here, again, depreciation. Yeah. This thing is going to depreciate like an anchor. I cannot see, kick off around the $50,000 mark. I'm sure they're swapping hands for way less than that when people are buying them at the one or two dealerships that are out there. Look, Deepal as a brand, maybe down the track, it'll prove itself. I just don't think it's worth the risk right now.
No. Now, Adam, you've got a dishonourable mention here, don't you?
Yeah, this one hurts me because I really loved these cars. I've considered buying one a couple of times, but now this new one's out. I'm like, they've ruined it. We're talking the Mini Countryman. Probably a really good car, but this new design, it just looks like every other SUV. I feel like the Countryman...
Well, it looks like every other SUV, but an uglier version of it.
Yeah, it's just a blob of a car. No. The Countryman, when it first came out and up until recently, was always a bit quirky and different. I kind of feel like it did the mini aesthetic thing, but in SUV form really well. This one, it's just like, here's another SUV. Boring.
Maybe that's why sales are down 26%. That's a lot.
That's heaps.
Another thing we wouldn't buy would be expensive OEM wiper blades or cheap, shitty ones.
Absolutely. And you shouldn't do that either. What you should do is hit the Wipertech link down below to get 15% off and free express shipping on the only wiper blades we choose to use. So easy to order online. You can fit them yourself. It's an absolute breeze. And they're an awesome Aussie company and we're mates with them, so support them. They're legends.
Now we're going to move on to large SUVs. Now, this one will trigger a lot of people. It's the GMC Yukon.
Should be called the Yukon.
Yeah, yuck on your shirt.
Hey, Jim, what's the starting price
Dude,
here,
they're
mate?
only $175,000 for a people mover. 175K.
Can I be honest with you guys about this? I'm going to be honest. I hate this car. I despise this abomination of a vehicle. I think this is everything wrong with the car industry right now. It's excess for excess sake. And it's at $175,000, it's proof that money does not buy taste.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to go as far as saying this is like a pissing contest personified in a car. Absolute wank of a vehicle.
Yeah, complete.
Look, this car does not need to exist in Australia. I'm sure in certain corners of the United States it makes sense, but here it does not make sense. Jim, you've got a number of kids.
Yes,
Yeah.
I do.
Have you ever thought, I need a GMC Yukon to transport them around?
Yes, but then I've become sane and considered maybe there'd be better options, you know?
If you want to transport a bunch of people in luxury, Kia Carnival.
Yeah.
The Lexus LM.
Yeah.
The Toyota Alphard and Velfire. That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
This utter piece of shit is not it
I don't
at
think
all.
anyone's putting kids in these, though, really, are they?
I don't know.
Because everyone with kids knows that kids tend to destroy the insides of cars.
That's a good point.
No matter how good your leather is.
That's a really good point.
But then if it's not for kids, who's it for?
I don't know. Maybe if people with massive self-esteem issues and they need some big showy American thing to go, look how much money I've got.
Listen to my V8.
Yeah.
And speaking of V8, this car is the centre of one of many GM vehicles that has a huge recall campaign going on. The L87 V8 is having a heap of conrod bearing failure issues and crankshaft, a whole bunch of engine complications, a whole bunch of reasons for that. Not relevant today, but huge recall, a lot of dead engines.
Yeah, I wouldn't buy one because I can't stand this vehicle, which I know is totally subjective, but objectively I just don't see the point of being here. And also when you look at some of the other larger sort of big SUVs that have been brought to Australia from the United States previously in the history of this country, they've never lasted well in terms of depreciation. No. So I just No, I would not buy one. No way in hell. Which actually brings us to another American-made waste of space SUV.
Wait, American-made?
Yeah, Jim. It's the Mercedes-Benz GLS. And look, I know if you're considering buying one of these because the whole premium European badge mystique appeals to you, yeah, these are not made in Europe. These are made in Alabama. Or, depending on where you're watching this, it might be from Indonesia or Thailand. Yeah. They're not made in Europe.
Not that that's a bad thing.
No.
If you think you're buying a German car that's made in Germany, well, it ain't.
So what you're buying here, you're basically buying marketing hype and brand identity. That's it. If you find value in that, which look, you might. That might be a key factor to buying a car for you. That's interesting. But really, the build quality is not great. Fit and finish, not great.
Yeah. And if previous generations of this car are anything to go on, they are likely to just fall apart around you and cost you a fortune in the long term.
Yeah, maintenance and repair and parts costs are just catastrophic. Yeah. Depreciation is massive. Yeah. I feel like every modern Mercedes we review of late, there's like squeaky door handles and the switch key doesn't feel quite right and rattles are forming everywhere and anything made of plastic, which is pretty much everything, just feels a bit brittle and cheap.
They feel cheap. Yeah.
It's funny, I with these... If you go and drive something like a Hyundai Santa Fe or a Kia Sorento, you go, oh, this feels quality. The Mazda CX-90, like beautiful car that. But in this, you get in the Merc and you're like, badge aside, I'm not seeing where the quality is.
What am I paying for again?
Yeah. And again, I can't remember if I mentioned it, but depreciation on these things... The depreciation is going to fly off a cliff, which is probably what you should do with the car.
Now, 4x4, proper off-road rugged stuff.
Yep, stuff for masculine men, which is certainly not me.
Yeah, the Land Rover Defender.
Land Rover Defender, $95,000 to $325,000. It tops out.
Just no.
It's a lot of money.
God.
Look, in its defence, being a Defender, get it?
Yeah, I see what you did there.
This is pretty hit and miss for build quality. When you jump on the owners groups and forums here with this thing, there are so many owners that absolutely adore them and they claim they've never ever had a problem with them whatsoever.
Yeah, right.
But I also think there might be a bit of Stockholm syndrome going on here, because I also came across, we've done a full review of this car, the amount of people that were like, my Defender's phenomenal. I absolutely adore it. I would buy another one in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I've done 33,000 kilometres on it and hasn't missed a beat.
Exactly. It's been amazing. Oh, there was the time that it stopped working. Oh, and there's the time that the rear windows don't work anymore. Oh, and there was also this and this and this. But easily the best car I've ever owned. What? My theory is these people have never owned a Prado or a Nissan Patrol or a Mitsubishi Pajero. No. They've gone from probably an XC60 or an XC90 into a Land Rover, and they think that things not working is just
part of it. Where it's
part
not,
of ownership.
Not
it's not. Some cars. Also, sort of rant everybody, but also in the owners groups, they'll be like, oh, yeah, but every car has their problems. No, they don't.
Yeah.
They don't. Suzuki Ignis.
What about a car that you spent $300,000 on? I know that's the top of the line. I don't even know, what do they call that V8, the top of the line
Octa? One? Is it the Octa?
Something like that. Like, what is, like, that is riddled with problems for $300,000.
I know. Look, we'll focus on the positives here. They are a sensational looking thing. I love the look of the Defender, as long as it's not the 90 or the 130, because they look like mistakes.
Yeah.
But the 110, fantastic, beautiful to drive.
Yeah.
One of my favourite interiors of all time. The interface is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's funny. All the subjective stuff is just, they nail it. It's just, for me, I think they're way too risky for me. Oh, also, I should mention, great depreciation. It's up there with some of the best depreciating cars on the market.
Yeah.
So some, depending on the spec, can even creep up. You can actually sell it used and make money.
Yeah. Another problem I have with this car is, if I own this car, which has got, proper four-wheel drive off-roading chops, am I going to take a car of this value off-road?
Yeah.
Am I going to do that? Or am I going to buy a proper four-wheel drive that's considerably cheaper and doesn't matter so much if I scratch it?
And it's also the enjoyment you have doing it. I think there's off-roading, right? And if you want to have fun, get a cheap Prado or a Pajero or a Patrol and actually have a go. Because in something that's, $100,000, you're like, was I going to scratch? And it's too much stress.
Is it a good off-road vehicle, or is it just a pretentious flex?
Good point. Very good point. It can be a good thing. I just don't think they're worth the risk.
Yeah, no.
Yep. Which I'm going to say the same for the second choice here, Jeep Wrangler. So you're looking at $75,000 to $85,000. It's going to be more than that because it's going to be loaded with accessories.
Great off-road capabilities.
Yeah. Look, honestly, I'd go as far as saying unmatched off-roading ability for any new car out there. The problem with that is, to be so good off-road, it has to be compromised on-road. So for my lifestyle, I don't off-road anywhere near enough to deal with the nightmare driving on-road. And also just horror stories from owners.
Yeah, they break. Didn't you break one once?
Yeah, am I allowed to talk about that?
Yeah, well, it happened.
It's been a while, hasn't it? Yeah. Do you want an inside story, everybody? So I got hired to do some driving of the Gladiator, and I was on a particular very sandy, sand-duned beach. It was less than 5 minutes, the power steering pump exploded, and I had no power steering for the rest. And they wanted like these big drifty shots and jumps and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Is that driver abuse?
Thing is, I hadn't even. I think I did one. I think I did like one kind of siding lap to see where the bumps were and where I was going to drift it and whatnot. And the steering just locked up and made a weird noise. I'm like, what is going on? Steering gone.
Now, was this footage they were going to use in some of their promoting?
Yeah.
Is that why they only sold 220 units?
Maybe because they know I broke one.
220 units. That's all in Australia in the last year. Stellantis, what are you doing?
Okay, next up, dual cab utes. And as we always say, every dual cab ute on the market is pretty good, and they're all a bit shit.
Yep.
There were plenty to choose from here.
Yeah, God.
We're going to start with the Jack T9. We're not going to elaborate on this. If you want to see why you shouldn't buy a Jack T9, go and watch Car Source. They've done a whole series of videos on the T9, on their T9 that they bought. That's
a very good objective review of that car and living with that car in a real world, environment. Yep. Interesting.
Also, $42,000 to $46,000. There are so many very near new dual cab utes you can buy for that kind of money that top the T9 in every way, shape, and form. And guys, if you're buying an 18-month-old Triton or Navara or Isuzu or BT50, whatever whatever it happens to be, you can still lease that. You can still put that through and get your tax benefits on it if it's 12 to 18 months old.
Yeah, and when that your other cheaper second-hand car breaks, you're going to be able to get parts for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Unlike your Jack T9.
Yeah, no,
There's jack shit around for them.
Yeah. But the other dual cab ute that I wouldn't go near is any of the big American stuff.
Now, this is a personal source of sheer hatred for you, isn't it?
I know.
Yeah.
But then, go on.
But then you drive them and you go, all is forgiven.
That's the problem with it. That's the problem.
Yeah.
They kick off at about $120,000. They top out at about $250,000. We're talking about the Toyota Tundra, Ram 1500, Ford F-150, Chevy Silverado, all that sort of stuff, right? There are people out there that legitimately need these vehicles. My mate Simo has an F-150, and for what he does, that is the only vehicle, or this style of vehicle is what he had to go with. Totally cool. If you're on a farm doing that sort of stuff, cool.
Yeah. It does have a certain set of skills.
Absolutely. And Jim's right. I got to admit, we reviewed a GMC 2500, owned by an absolute legend, by the way, and he warned me this would happen.
Yeah.
And he was right. It does make you fizz in the pants. It does. You kind of drive it going, oh, gee, well, I feel like I could go and demolish a building, or I could actually build something of note.
Yeah.
But for me, I just don't need anything like this in my life.
And personal preference, I sometimes struggle to understand why they even exist.
Yeah.
There's such a small minority of people that need that sort of towing capacity, and some of them don't even have that good a cargo carrying capacity either.
No, exactly right.
Not that
Look,
good.
my personal issue with this, I cop so much abuse online. I don't really want to be copping abuse when I'm driving everywhere, and that is one thing I've noticed with Simo's F-150 and these vehicles I've driven. Yeah, you cop some hate, you cop some fingers, you cop some abuse.
Yeah.
It's just not fun. I don't want that in my life.
No. And I know we're going to try and cut this to 2 vehicles per category. We've kind of got 4 in this category, so there's a lot to get through.
There's a lot. Yep. Kia Tasman. We're looking at $43,000 to $80,000. Okay. This is probably going to be a fantastic year, right?
They had an opportunity to make it good.
Yeah,
they really did.
And again, I haven't driven one, and from what I gather, it's a really good thing.
Nice enough.
Again, knowing how Kia develops stuff, it's going to be a good thing. There's no way in hell I could look at that in my garage every morning.
No.
No way.
No.
I know we're saying that we would not buy one purely for the aesthetics.
Yeah. There's other reasons too. It's terribly underpowered from what I read. I haven't driven one either.
Yeah.
But, subjectively, I think they're ugly. It'd be interesting to see what they do with the facelift because
it's going to want to be an extensive facelift.
Yeah.
And look, again, congrats to Kia for having a punt here, but they've kicked the ball out of bounds.
Yeah.
This is an ugly, ugly vehicle.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just going to rant one more time.
Yeah, do it.
I thought maybe it was one of those cars that when you see it in a picture and it's like, oh, God, that's horrible. Then you see it in real life and you go, oh, that makes sense now. I get it.
Yeah.
No, I've seen a few of these on the road now and it's just, you're looking at it going, what? How did this get through?
Have a look at the absolute entry-level poverty pack one in white. It is like hideous.
Ugly.
More than hideous.
Ugly.
Now, the other one on our ute hit list is the Ford Ranger plug-in hybrid.
Yeah.
Look, Ford just missed hugely on this car. And I've got a couple of stats here for you. I'm going to compare it to the BYD Shark.
Yep.
Now, it is way more expensive. It's like 15 grand dearer than the Shark. It's got about 100 kilowatts less than the BYD Shark. It's got half the range of the BYD Shark. It does tow a little bit more.
Okay.
And it does have a slightly higher payload.
Yeah.
But all of those other factors that are ute, reasons you buy a ute, it just fails on all of them.
But you got to ask yourself, how many people are actually using the 3.5 ton towing capacity of a Ford Ranger?
It's insane.
Not many, honestly. And you should never tow something that's heavier than the tow vehicle itself anyway.
Yep.
So again, the percentage of people that are going, I can't buy the BYD because the towing capacity and the payload capacity is not there. That's probably 9 people in Australia.
Yeah, and they had potential to make it good. The engine in it is the 2.3 EcoBoost, which is massively detuned in this application. It could have had all the power in the world, but they just not. It's just epic fail.
And just also the price. So the BYD is so well equipped. We're not paid by BYD at all.
No.
Yeah, we've said don't buy plenty of BYDs. If you're going to buy a BYD, get a used one. But Yeah, Ford have missed the ball here.
Yeah, why? How could they miss it so badly?
Yeah, shocker.
Ridiculous.
Okay, next category we forgot to do on the previous video. We're talking premium SUVs. So first of all, the one that we would buy, and we agree on this, as good as the Genesis GV70 is, we would both buy a Lexus RX 450h, about 120 grand. I had one of these recently. I had a run of premium SUVs in my life of late, and this was easily the winner. I had to drive it through some of the sketchiest conditions I've ever experienced, and it just ate it up. Yeah. If you're in the market for a premium SUV, get one of these.
Yeah, don't be confused. This is a car we would buy, but all the rest of cars we would not.
Yeah. Brilliant thing. But the ones we wouldn't buy...
Oh, my God. What about a Merc GLC or GLE? Would you buy one of those?
God, no. So we've reviewed... We've done GLC. We haven't done a more recent GLE, but I've driven one.
Yeah.
GLC $90,000 to $194,000 for the AMG. GLE $135,000 to $273,000 for the AMG. These make me angry on behalf of Mercedes-Benz fans. If you're a Mercedes-Benz fan watching this, you deserve better than these cars. Brand new, they're probably lovely, and under warranty, they're probably great. But we're just finding, it's again what we said before, just finding that the interior quality just isn't there. Even exterior trim, we're hearing of exterior trim pieces, panels not lining up properly, paint issues. Then electrical faults. A car of this value should not have any electrical fault. Everything should work seamlessly, and apparently it often doesn't.
It's a classic case of prestige car, isn't it? Prestige product, really.
No, not at all.
And, maybe it's because we drive so many new cars that the brand appeal is actually completely lost on us. Don't get it at all.
Yeah, it's something we try to remember all the time when it comes to Merc and Audi and BMW and all these brands. Like, I couldn't care less what badge is written on it. But if you've worked your ass off and you've finally got your nice Mercedes in your garage, and that's a totally valid reason to buy one of these cars. But again, you deserve better than what these are doing. Yeah. And then you've got to talk about depreciation, cost of maintenance, cost of servicing, cost of parts down the track.
And I have heard some pretty, shocking reports about the ownership experience when it comes to a dealership. Interactions, not always good, not flaming anyone in particular, just things that we hear.
Yeah. Just, again, too risky. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Okay, next up we have technically a tie, although they're two vehicles from the same manufacturer. We're talking the Range Rover Evoque and the Land Rover Disco Sport.
Yeah, except this time, it's a bit like the Land Rover Defender, very hit and miss build quality, but also you get the added bonus of terrible depreciation.
Yeah, and also like reliability is all over the shop with these as well. Yeah. Again, positives, beautiful to look at, stunning interiors. But then with these, the driving experience is just a bit meh. Like I've been lucky enough to drive a few of these, but whatever.
And let's face it, you're not going to take it off road.
No,
no one's doing that.
No one's doing that. I just think in this segment, in their respective segments, Evoque and Disco Sport, there are just so many other cars that do what they do better. Yeah. Again, you're just buying image and brand, and for us, that is not a reason that you'd buy a car.
Nope.
Okay, next up, luxury cars, proper luxury cars here. Mercedes-Benz S-Class, and to a lesser extent, the E-Class. Again, it's like the GLC and the GLE. For how revered the Mercedes-Benz name is, these should be better. Look, I know brand spanking new, they're probably lovely, but then after 18 months, or once it's sort of getting out of warranty, again, that's where we start hearing about rattly interiors and electronics failing and trim pieces falling off, badges falling off, all sorts of issues. And also from a design perspective, especially inside, and exterior as well, I feel like the S-Class used to be really understated and sophisticated and kind of like you had to kind of be in the know to really know, But with the new ones, especially the interior, it's just like they've vomited as much chrome and screens and shit all over the interior. So it's just like, it's all too ostentatious. It's all too blingy. There's nothing classy about it anymore.
And you know what? Also, if history has taught us anything with these cars, the depreciation and maintenance costs, they are off the scale with these things. They cost you a fortune.
Go look at what a 15-year-old S-Class is worth now, or 10-year-old S-Class is worth now compared to what it was when it was new. Yeah. Hundreds of thousands of dollars can be dropped.
Crazy.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. And again, if you want something in this category, well, you want to be sophisticated and stylish and cool, and hopefully a bit more exclusive, because I see these everywhere. They're all over the place. If you want exclusivity in this market, Toyota Century.
Yep.
Get a Toyota Century. You cannot beat that build quality. And they're just cool. They're cooler than an S-Class.
Very exclusive.
Very exclusive. But all Toyota parts. So they're cheap to fix and they probably will never depreciate.
Probably not.
Don't buy an S-Class or an E-Class.
Now, off the back of expensive maintenance and repairs, I find in the workshop sometimes it makes way more sense to buy aftermarket parts.
And yet we've found time and time again, sometimes they can be cheaper, they can last longer, and they can perform better. And for any of these things that you need, check out Automotive Superstore. We've got a link down below. They've got over 400,000 parts and accessories. And we're not just talking engine components and suspension bits and brakes, bar work, lighting, dash cams, infotainment systems, whatever you need, they've got it. Check them out, the link's down below. And then we have luxury SUVs, which again is sort of a segment of the market that makes me want to vomit in my mouth a little bit. Which one do we choose? All of them. Yeah, I don't really understand this whole category. They're very hard to choose here because they're all pretty bad. But
none of them.
No, but we've got to have some losers.
Yeah, okay.
BMW XM. $302,000 to $350,000. It's going to be more than that once you start adding options.
Did BMW have any type of focus group to say, is this car nice looking or not nice looking?
I reckon BMW management went to their designers and the brief was, guys, how ugly can we make an SUV before people stop buying them? And you know what? They succeeded because this has been an international sales flop for BMW.
Yeah. Can't imagine why.
Yeah, this is a hideously ugly vehicle. Yes, it's incredibly fast. Why does anyone need an SUV of this size to be fast? It's ridiculous. Don't need it.
Does the cost of it and the exclusivity of it and the fact that it's very low volume in sales, does that make it a future classic?
No. No, you can imagine how much stuff's going to break on this? The amount of modules and computers.
What if you'd never drive it?
No, it'll probably still fall apart or biodegrade into the ground.
It will too, yeah.
Look, again, I just feel like this is everything wrong with the car industry. It's just overt excess for the sake of it existing in the first place. And I would not only would I not buy one, I wouldn't want to be seen dead in one.
Yeah, you've got a reputation to uphold. Speaking of reputations,
brings
us to the Rolls-Royce Cullinan. Imagine being seen in that. The humanity.
I reckon, I feel like this is a Rolls-Royce pulling a practical joke, and then it just went. It's like they released the car on April Fool's Day, but then they got orders for it, and they're like, "Oh, we better make this."
The front of it, the headlights remind me of a crying emoji. Just once you see it, you can't unsee it.
And all the proportions are wrong. It looks like someone took a really poorly renovated block of apartments and then laid it down and put four wheels on it. It's just wrong in every way.
Yeah.
Look, yes, inside it's going to be opulent, and it's got like the level of options and features and how you can customize this is beyond what any normal human could ever fathom. And I'm sure it's like driving in a wet cloud, but I just no. Like it starts at what, $750,000, and tops out at whatever you would like, sir. I just feel like if you want a car in this segment, don't you want to be cool and stylish and sophisticated?
This isn't any of that.
No.
There are way better options.
Yeah,
Do we only hate them because we're poor?
maybe,
But still,
maybe we're just jealous.
maybe.
Yeah. Okay, now to the other end of the spectrum, let's talk cheap EVs. I have personal experience with this one. It was shit. $40,000 to $45,000 is still too much for this car. It's the Chery Omoda E5. This has the worst ADAS, the safety systems, of any car I've ever driven. All of the calibrations, all of the driving calibrations were all messed up. The suspension does everything you don't want it to do. So when you hit a bump, it's like you feel the bump and then it kind of wobbles all over the place. Steering feel, it actually feels like you're pushing a wet tissue around a kitchen sink. It's also really ugly.
Well, less ugly than its predecessor. Got to give it some credit there. The first generation that came out of these was one of the most hideous looking, over weirdly styled cars I've ever seen. Slightly improved with this one, but still wouldn't have it.
No. And look, it is going to improve, okay? And look, positives, it's loaded with kit for the money. But again, it's a cheap little car. These are not going to depreciate well. These are going to be worth nothing in years to come. Again, I don't understand why you'd buy one when there's so many other cars that you could buy instead.
Now we're going to move on to expensive EVs here, and the top of our list is the BMW i5.
Now, I highly recommend checking out a Car Wow video. They did a test recently of the i5 versus the same year model full petrol-powered BMW 5 Series and hybrid 5 Series. And it's really interesting because the i5 asks a hell of a premium in terms of price versus the hybrid and the petrol ones. Sometimes, depending on spec, it can be even up to $100,000 more for the electric version. And when they do their tests, it's a really good test. It's not the most economical one. It doesn't make the most financial sense, which makes you think, why would you buy it in the first place? I don't really understand why you'd go there. And also, it's not just that. In the owners groups and forums, we're reading about software glitches, electronic gremlins. There's some trim issues. Granted, it is a very new car, so that, the first cars off a production line can have a few, teething issues. But also, then you take into account the immense depreciation that high-end EVs are faced with at the moment, super high insurance costs, all
Inevitable
these
low sales volumes are going to make it worthless in 10 years' time.
Exactly.
Really, just buy an ordinary 5 Series.
Yeah, if you kind of want the best of both worlds, go the hybrid, so you're getting at least some of the EV-ness with none of the drawbacks. I would not buy an i5.
Nope.
No. I also wouldn't buy Mercedes EQE. We're really giving Merc in this video, aren't we?
Yeah, well, they're shit.
And it hurts me because I am a Mercedes fan. I'm a big Lewis Hamilton fan, so I grew up loving them. I would have a 190 Evolution in a heartbeat.
Yeah, but that's 30 years old.
I love an SLS Black.
Yeah, also not current.
I love Mercedes Benz. I love them.
But not EQEs.
Or really any of the new stuff. It's really annoying.
Yeah.
Now, you know what these things weigh? 2,300 kilos.
That's only 200 kilograms less than a 300 Series Land Cruiser.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
That
seems like environmentally responsible motoring.
Yeah, wow. Chewing through tyres and roads at that rate.
Can I just say something about the EQE? I recently met two of the worst people I've ever met in my life.
Okay.
For reasons which I can't discuss publicly. They bought an EQE, and I wish them well. Good luck with that depreciation. I wonder if they're watching. Probably not.
Again, this is another one of those cars. It's going to depreciate like crazy because of the weight and the size of it. It's suspension calibration is interesting at best. Again, there are owners already reporting problems with the infotainment systems, with electronics, with fit and finish problems. It's all the typical stuff that we're seeing.
I read a story about one of these that had lost 50% of its value in 12 weeks. It was a UK story, and that equates to 615 quid per day.
That's like $1,200 a day.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
There was a whole bunch of, circumstances around it, but that was the amount that it lost.
It also looks like well-used soap. Then you see it, it's like, Cal will have a photo on the screen now, but it just looks like a blob. Like there's no real design going on.
With random hairs on it.
It's just, oh, that's a sexy thought. I would not buy one of these. I don't understand.
Wish one on your worst enemy, though.
Yeah. Okay, next up, affordable performance cars that we wouldn't buy. Hard category this because there aren't that many affordable performance cars around anymore.
Affordable performance cars?
Affordable performance cars.
This hurts me a little bit.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's a Golf R.
Yeah, Mark 8 Golf R.
Hard to justify.
My issue with this car is it's so fast now. It's in Australia, especially in New South Wales and Victoria, with our amazing police force and their amazing ability to hide speed cameras and take our licenses away, this thing is just so rapid for public road use. Yeah. It's not that much fun because you're constantly decelerating. And I think, what do you want from a performance car? You want to have fun through driving, and I just don't know if it's that fun anymore. The other thing that doesn't make it fun is the stupid haptic feedback buttons, which we know they're getting thrown in the bin.
Yeah.
We're going back to physical buttons, thank God, which will be a massive improvement.
Yep.
And I just think a car like this thing does a 747 around Nürburgring. That is rapid.
And to drive a car like that on the road, the car itself is just bored all of the time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. This is like having a stereo that goes to 12, but then also having neighbours that can have you evicted in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
You've got all this power, but you can't do anything with it 99% of the time. So, great car. Super rapid if you want to lose your license.
The problem with that is you think, okay, I'll go and put it on track days, but there are actually better cars around for track days.
Yeah.
It's not the best thing for that.
If you take it to a track day, budget for front brake pads and rotors and tyres.
Well, that's any car, but there are better cars to do it with. It'll be quicker for that price,
Yeah. The other one that I personally wouldn't buy in this affordable category is, and again, it hurts me because I'm a fan.
No.
Mini Cooper S, $50,000 to $55,000. This new one, it's lost all of the appeal of the previous generation, and that generation lost all of the appeal of the previous generation, and that one lost all the appeal of the previous generation.
And let's face it, they're all clinging on with their fingernails to this homage to the old, this nostalgic, attraction to the old Mini. They've lost that. That's gone.
Yeah.
So as a brand, I wonder if BMW kind of wish they didn't have it anymore.
Yeah.
They kind of got to come up with the reasons why it even exists.
Yeah. I also I feel for the car companies here because it does, like, imagine the amount of hoops they've got to jump through in terms of legislation and safety equipment and emissions and all that sort of stuff. And it does feel like all of those things are designed to take the enjoyment out of driving, to make it not fun. So to try to make a car really fun and engaging in the current climate must be really, really hard. I feel like Mini have really lost their mojo with this new one. And then you've also got to look at the previous generations, and we've covered a couple of them. Oh my God, the amount of mechanical and reliability issues and electronic gremlins and all those things. That could very well be the same with this new one. Then you've got to talk depreciation. Again, I just think for the money, what I think BMW should have done with the Cooper S, they should have done their modern take or 2025 take on a Suzuki Alto Works or a Kia Picanto GT, or, how's this? Imagine if Mini did their take on the Yaris GR.
Yeah.
So if Toyota can do it with the GR Yaris GR, surely Mini can do that. Make it really small.
Yeah.
Give it some, homologation kind of vibe to
Give it a reason to exist.
Yeah, make it not the homogenous, bloated yawn that we have now.
Now, expensive performance. Now, I know this one hurts you a little bit, doesn't it?
This is like they've gone and stabbed me in the throat.
Yeah, look, M5.
Yes.
M5. Look, 260 grand, that's a bargain. Yeah. And they make a wagon.
So you'd think this ticks all my boxes, right?
Yeah, right.
Love an M5. This is the first time ever I haven't been excited about a new M5. And it's a wagon, which is like my ultimate dream cars are fast wagons.
Yep.
And I couldn't care less about it. I'm happy to be proven wrong on this. BMW, send me an M5 Touring for a year.
We'll actually need two of those.
We'll need two of those. So let us know. I just don't care about it.
No.
I just don't care. I just think, yes, it's outrageously fast, but it feels like they're now focused so heavily on the tech rather than just like kind of a raw driving experience. I don't know. It's huge. I saw one recently. It's a massive car.
Well,
it's SUV size.
It comes down to, it's incredibly fast, but why? Why is it fast? I know I'm sounding like an old boomer now, but what good is it? Why do you need a car that fast? You're never going to have a track day because there's better track day cars.
Yep.
Why though?
And at the price as well, I'd rather buy 3 E39 M5s and have money left over to keep all of them on the road. I don't know. I just feel like it's, I don't know. It feels like it's not what an M5 should be anymore. And look, I get that they've got so many rules and regulations they need to stick to in making this car. I get it. I just feel like it's lost its magic.
Yeah.
Happy to be proven wrong, BMW. I'll send you my address. Next up, what performance SUVs wouldn't we buy, Jim?
We would buy none of them?
No, yeah.
Or we wouldn't buy all of them?
No, exactly.
You get it.
Yeah. No, you shouldn't. No, we wouldn't buy any performance SUV because buy a normal SUV for your boring SUV stuff.
Or buy a performance car.
Yeah, or buy both because with what some of them cost, you can afford to buy both.
Yeah. We could have given you a list of all the performance SUVs not to buy, but let's just put them all together and say,
don't buy them.
Don't.
At a stretch, if it was wearing a Porsche badge, maybe. If you had to have one car and it had to be an SUV.
The least worst one you wouldn't buy.
Yeah, I'd go Macan. Oh, no, I wouldn't go the Macan GTS. See, the new Macan, I wouldn't go until they put a petrol engine back in it.
No, none of them.
No.
None of them.
Cayenne?
Yeah, maybe.
Cayenne
Still wouldn't.
Turbo SE hybrid?
No, I wouldn't.
No.
What's the point?
No. Okay, finally, fantasy stuff that smashed through this. We're talking kind of, ridiculously, Powerball win, lotto win kind of pricing here. I'm going to go specifically the entire Lamborghini range and the entire Ferrari range.
Yeah, it's a bit like that, isn't it? It's a kind of a silly genre. And yes, I know we're poor and we can never afford them and that's why we hate them. But the reality is none of these cars in this sector are as cool as their 20 or 25-year-old predecessors.
Yeah, okay, so think about this. None of us on a public road are ever going to achieve the sort of performance that these cars are capable of. The new Lamborghini Temerario, it is so fast. You're not going to ever experience that on a public road. So, okay, don't need the performance stuff. Yeah. And you're probably not going to take it to a track because there are just better track day cars. And for what they cost at $600,000, if you're going to take it to a track, go buy an actual racing car and a transporter and a truck and you'll have change left over.
What about a Revuelto? $1 million.
Yeah, starts at $987,000. So if you're not driving it for the performance, right, and you're not taking it to the track, therefore you're buying it purely for the image and the vibe of it and the fact you can drive around in a Lamborghini or a Ferrari, that I totally get, right? And that is a totally valid reason to buy one of these cars.
For some.
for some. But therefore, if you're buying the car for the vibe and the image, well, I'm sorry, but a Ferrari Testarossa or a 550 Maranello is way cooler than a new Roma, and it's the same price.
Yeah.
The 12 cylindry, the new Ferrari front engine monster thing, right? For the same money as that, which starts at $803,000, you could buy a 1967 250.
Which is genuinely cool.
That is melt into the ground levels of cool.
Yeah.
That is like, you can't put into words how cool that 1967 Ferrari is versus the new one.
Yeah.
So again, I don't understand why you'd buy a new Ferrari or Lamborghini.
Yeah.
Let's look at the Revuelto. For $987,000, you can get a Diablo, and not just any Diablo, a VT.
Yeah.
That is so much cooler.
Yeah, here's a question for you.
Yeah.
If no one ever knew you bought this car, it was absolute secret. You couldn't drive it publicly, and no one knew you had it.
Like you couldn't put on Instagram that
No,
you've
you're
gone
not
look at,
allowed-
like, you couldn't go, here's me and my new Ferrari.
Yeah,
so
not allowed-
no one can find.
no one
I know
knows.
where you're going with this, but yeah. So okay, here's the rule.
Yeah. Would you still buy it?
Question for you guys. Seriously, if you couldn't tell anyone that you'd bought a Ferrari or a Lamborghini, there was no way of anyone else knowing, would you still buy
You're
that
allowed
car?
to take it to a track day or whatever you want, but you have to remain completely anonymous. No one knows it's you driving it.
Yep. Would you still buy
Do you
that
still
car?
spend the money and have that car?
I would love to know what the percentage of people that go, well, actually, no, I probably wouldn't.
Yeah, and the people that say they would?
Yeah. Also, sorry, last part of the rant I just remembered from my notes here.
Yeah.
The other cooler thing about buying the older 550 Maranello or the 67 250 or a Murcielago or whatever it is, something old, right? Everybody kind of knows that when it's a new Ferrari or Lamborghini, you can lease that, which means you can't actually afford to buy it. You haven't got the cash to go, I'm going to buy that new Lamborghini. It's really hard to lease a Testarossa, okay?
A 40-year-old performance car.
So it kind of is even cooler at the fact that, like my 1967 Ferrari, that's not on a lease. I'm not making payments.
Yeah.
I spent my own money to buy this $1 million car.
There's a flex.
There's a flex.
Oh, and it's a manual. I can drive it. There's another flex.
That's the other one.
Yeah.
That's, even in terms of driving enjoyment.
Yeah.
Now that your nan can drive all of these Lamborghinis and Ferraris easily down to the shops, all of these with a manual gearbox, that requires some talent.
Yeah.
That's why they're cooler. Way cooler. Wouldn't buy any of them.
No.
There we go. What are your
Cars you
thoughts?
should not buy.
Yeah, what do you think? What would you not buy? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching.